we're going to talk about your instrument's intonation on your instrument and why it's important. Good intonation requires compensation at both ends of the strings, which is actually, if you look on a acoustic guitar, they usually compensate the bridge on an acoustic guitar. Nirvana makes a compensated nut for an electric and acoustic instrument. What that actually does is it compensates the nut up here on the top. That way your intonation is better. Your intonation is actually the open note matching the 12th fret, and what that actually does is makes your guitar play in tune. I have changed some put compensated nuts on instruments that have been through a Plek machine. If you don't know what a Plek machine, that's what Gibson uses to fret their instruments. It's pretty much a really precise laser machine that actually laser cuts the fret slots and stuff on their instruments and sets up the guitar and sets up the bridges, so it pretty much sets up the whole guitar. A Plek machine is pretty accurate, but I have put Nirvana compensated nuts on several Gibson Les Pauls, and the open chords sound so much better. A lot of the instruments, like acoustic guitars, are intonated to the fretted notes, not really to the open chords. A lot of this, don't get me wrong, acoustic guitar has been around for years and years and years, guys. So, it's one of those things that they haven't got it wrong, but as we get older and stuff was more advanced, we actually can get better sounds out of guitars. There is instruments called true temper tuning. If you're not familiar with pianos are what they call temper tune. True temperament tuning is a whole different thing. When it comes to your guitar, it's pretty much the string length from here to here is called the scale length, and your instrument is fretted to the scale length. So what that means is, like, say this instrument is 24 3/4 or something like that, you would have to fret it accordingly to the scale length. So usually from here to here, the center is going to be the 12th fret, which is right here, and that would be the center where the 12th fret would be, depending on how long the scale length is. There is fret calculators on here that go by the scale length that tell you exactly where to put the fret. The main reason why we're going to talk about this topic, I do have a white paper to go along with it. You could have a guitar that plays in tune fretted, but sounds out of tune when you play a chord on it. That's really bad because then you sound like you don't know what you're doing and your guitar playing stinks because you're out of tune. It's not as adjustable on an acoustic instrument as it is on an electric instrument. Now I'll show you what I mean. Give me a second and I'll grab my electric guitar. Okay, guys, I got my Avenger here. It's tuned in B standard. Believe it or not, it's supposed to look dirty. It's supposed to look aged. As you can see, this is a 2-nomatic bridge. I believe that's what this is called. As you can see, the string lengths are different on here. I don't know if you can see that. You see how each string is a different length. Back here on an electric guitar, you have a better chance of compensating for the string length. So the nuts on here could actually be pretty straight. You can see I got just a regular straight nut. You could adjust it a lot better on an electric guitar. Okay, compensating the nut on the open strings tuned to the lower frets. You compensate the nut to play in tune on the open strings, and then you compensate the bridge back here to play on the 12th fret and above. So if you compensate, you actually tune it with a strobe tuner, and you put a nut on here and intonate your guitar strings, tune it with the guitar tuner, then check the 12th fret with your strobe tuner. They should match. In traditional compensation at the bridge, it intonates notes at the 12th fret to play in tune with the open string. whenever you compensate the bridge, it actually intonates the 12th fret with open string. The problem with that is after you're doing that, it's lacking nut compensation. So that's why you get an Nirvana compensated nut. Notes played on the lower frets will play sharp, and the notes above the 12th fret will play flat. It's because the open strings had not been intonated to the fretboard by compensating the nut. Like I said, that's where the Nirvana compensated nut comes into. Intonation errors should be corrected at the nut as well as the saddle. I use string intonation all the time whenever I set up instruments for people. You have to understand how it works. This is why it's important for you as a guitar player to understand this kind of stuff. Nut compensation is generally more difficult than the bridge saddle compensation, and it costs more time and more money usually. But luckily we have companies like Nirvana that makes a compensated nut, and it's compensated for individual instruments. Like if you had a Les Paul and you know the scale length on it and the nut width, they actually have a nut that's already pre-cut for that instrument. If you're interested in seeing the instrument that I put one of the instruments I put a compensated nut on, I put one on a Gibson SG Tune-o-matic or something like that. It had robotic tuning heads on it. You can go to my guitar repair Facebook page. It's South Professional Guitar Repair, and I have some videos on some of the instruments I've worked on, and it's actually a Gibson with robotic tuners that I put a compensated nut on, and it seemed to play better on the open notes. The reason why this is important, guys, to know this kind of stuff is so whenever you go pick out an instrument, you don't buy a low quality instrument, because you can actually intonate some of the cheapest guitars. It's a lot harder, but let's just say if you buy a already good instrument, you won't have to do a lot of this, because they actually have quality control QC that actually intonate your instrument before they send it out. If you have to actually go have your instrument intonated, it's good to know what you're looking for. Like I said, your open note should match your 12th fret. And the big issue with this, guys, is the guitar, because it uses a string on it. Any instrument uses a string. What happens is when you go up the fingerboard and you fret something, you're actually putting tension on the string. So when you make the string tighter, that's what you're doing when you fret everything. When you make the string tighter and shorter, it's going to go up in pitch. That's just how physics are. The further you go up the fretboard, the sharper the notes will get. And the way around this is to get the string action as low as possible to the frets. So whenever you push down, your fretboard hand is actually lighter, doesn't have to do as much work. Like I demonstrated in one of the videos where if you push down harder, it actually goes sharp. That's actually because the string tension is shortening the length of the string. If you want to look further into this, guys, there is going to be I am posting the white paper with it in the description of the video. If you want to learn more about intonation, I would suggest you read through this white paper. Guys, as a fellow guitar player and a player of many instruments, I want you guys to be informed. That way, if you have to take your instrument to go get repaired, you don't get fooled. There's a lot of guitar repair guys or guys that say they set up your instrument that actually make no adjustments to your instrument, especially on acoustic guitar. There's not a lot you can do. Like this guitar the bridge was cut for this instrument, so if I was to need another bridge, I actually have to make it myself. Somebody that says that they can intonate your acoustic instrument and leaves your factory bridge on is not doing a dang thing to your instrument. On electric guitar, in order for it to be intonated, they do have to adjust the bridge saddles. I figured this would be a good topic to tell you all about. That way, if you tune to a tuner and then you're playing and you sound out of tune, it could be several things, guys, but it usually has to do with the intonation of the instrument. And a lot of stuff falls into that, including string action and your neck adjustment and all that stuff. But it's good to know if you have a decent instrument, and it's not hard to find a decent instrument nowadays. You can get a good guitar now for like $250. I think there's some Ibanez Geos that sell for like $174 or something like that. They're great guitars. A lot of Squiers, Fender Squiers, you can get for like the $200 price range. They're good instruments. Every instrument is even better once it's been set up. The problem with like the Geos and the Fender Squiers and stuff like that is they usually are made in China, and you never know what the QC is over there, the quality control on those instruments are, because they could adjust the intonation and kind of throw it out, and it ships over here from China, and they usually need to be set up again when they get over here because of change of climate and stuff. So you can get a good one, a really good Chinese guitar, you can get a really bad Chinese guitar, and that's what I recommend y'all to do if you have the money and stuff to it. You're gonna be real serious about guitar playing. Even if you buy a cheaper instrument, it is a good idea to take it to a guitar tech and actually have him set up your instrument and intonate it. You'll thank me in the long run because you'll play in tune, and it's just a heck of a lot easier when the instrument's set up correctly. If you want to know more about the white paper, it will be in the description down below, guys. If you have any questions or any video that you want me to do for Talking Guitar with Sal, let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, I'll see y'all next week.